another beautiful morning. Look at that. Beautiful. Oh man. Good boy. Well, so, you know how I talked yesterday about the gamekeeper setting up a bait with those grains? Turns out I was correct, because sure enough, in the afternoon, like late afternoon, actually it was more towards the evening, they arrived with their cars stopped by the edge of the field close to my home. Drejku, tady jdeme. Close to my home, and they got their equipment out. You know, I wasn't sure it was them, but you know, I wasn't, you know, it's not like I'm stalking on people, right? I mean, no, of course. I mean, I was curious what's going on, you know, because there were like two cars by the edge of the field, and they were taking out stuff. So, you know, it got me a bit curious. So I was like checking out what's going on, you know, and especially, you know, when there's like a bit of a commotion, like, you know, car doors closing and all that. Drake starts to kind of, you know, get, well, he gets suspicious, you know, like you can see he raises his head. Usually like he sleeps, he's like all chill, and then you hear the car door closing somewhere nearby, and you know, his ears go all like prepped up, and he's doing this like boof, boof, you know. So that's kind of like, it's like sort of a signal for me, something's going on, you know. So I usually go, I look, I check, and I'm like, okay, what is that? So I saw them taking their equipment out of their car, and yeah, sure enough, when I was falling asleep, it was like around 11:30. I've heard a couple of shots, you know, pretty loud ones too. So yeah, I think they I'm not sure if they were successful, but yeah, they were definitely out there hunting. That's for certain. So yeah. Yeah. Well. That is a fine morning. And I just tried to sound like a hillbilly, but I'm not sure if I got the impression right. It was a fine morning, neighbor. All right, I'm gonna stop. Woo, what a fun! No, okay. No, it's a really nice morning. Beautiful one, actually. You know what? Let's get up on that hill, you know, just a bit of a change of scenery. Let's take a look around. and there's actually a little like, well, it's not a little, it's like a classic pond, you know. There's a pond just like behind that hill, and I can actually show you also some other things I've talked about in the previous videos. Are there wires or not? No, it's all cool. It ain't cool. It's all cool. So this is a pasture, but it's open, so there are no cows for sure. And frankly, even if there are cows, sometimes I just need to pass through. I just go, you know. They're usually chill. Like, not usually, they're like 100% time they're chill. They're like grazing and, you know, looking at us. And we're cool. We just pass by. Yeah. And of course, I'm always careful to, you know, either I get below, if it's possible, below the wires. But if there's this like entry point when you can actually open it yourself without getting shocked, then I do that. And of course I always take it and put it back. So yeah, actually I'm gonna tell you a little story, a little funny thing, but hold on, let me show you the pond. So we're definitely gonna go at some point. We're gonna go over there. Actually, maybe let's go there today, you know. Doesn't have to be around, right? It can be a trip to the pond. So there's this pond which is pretty recent. It was not showing up on a map a couple of years ago, and it was already here, you know. And it all looks pretty fresh. The bank and the dam that was like created there, it all looks fairly new. So I think it's very recent, surprisingly, and it's pretty big. And it was created on this creek that goes down. It goes through the village. There's a buzzard flying, see it? Nice. And I'm not sure if you can hear it, but very, very far away from over there, that song, that's the missile thrush. Exactly. There's a bit of a tractor sound because there's a farm over there, so it gets a little but yeah, singing up from there, probably from over there, from that forest, which is pretty far away. But I guess there's good acoustics here, you know, since like it's the opposite hill. But yeah, that's the missile thrush. And so it was this pond was built on the creek that goes through the village and runs all the way down to the river, which was also you know, there is a dam on the river, higher up on the river. So it almost looks like a large giant lake that runs in the valley, you know. So it's a huge river, but you know, made huge by the dam, you know. So yeah, it looks like a lake almost. So it runs all the way down there, and this lake here, I checked, is in the ownership of the village. So this one is not you know, the Knights of the Cross with the red star. That's not theirs. Something that's not theirs, finally. And over there, I don't know, yeah, you're definitely gonna see it. Over there, you can see that old historical building with like this beautiful old sort of ornamental shape of the front wall. That's actually back wall, but back and front is the same. So that building there is very, very old, and that's where the museum is. It's a museum of old. What is it? It's the museum of a village life. Yeah, actually. It's called, yeah, Museum of Village Life, you know. So there are like, there's old equipment that people used to tend to their fields, and you know, things that they used to make bread and butter and, you know, all that. So yeah, there's a museum, and that is owned by the Knights of the Cross with the Red Star. I was talking about that in that video a couple of days back. So yeah, so what was I gonna say? Oh, that funny story. Yeah. The thing, because I recall that, you know, talking about the cows, that I'm actually a bit of a I could call myself a bit of a vigilante around here. No, but seriously, I mean, at this point I feel like I'm like a vigilante around here, because I cannot count how many times I've came across an escapee cows, runaway horses, runaway dogs. Like, there has been so many cases when I just, you know, came across like some situation of this sort, like, you know, cows running away and horses out of the blue somewhere, and they're clearly ran away, and dogs coming to me, you know, which is interesting. Dogs coming to me, which ran away too, and I'm like, hey, buddy, what are you doing here? And actually, there's this one dog that was coming to me incredibly often. You know, it was like he escaped like every month maybe, and stopped by, and he didn't just like walk around the house or something and you know, stop by for a moment and went away. He actually came all that way and truly stopped in front of the entrance to the garden, and he was sitting there and waiting, you know. He came specifically for us. It was obvious, you know. So that dog, I actually returned it a couple times, because I know where he's from. He's from oh, this is nice. He's from a village that is actually across this like hill over there. It's a beautiful village. We're definitely going to go there at some point. So he's from over there, and so I took my bike. Usually, sometimes I went by foot, but it's like 30 minutes, maybe 35 minutes of walk. So, you know, if you want to get there faster, then bike is good. So I took my bike, and I took him there to his owner, and it actually happened. I'm like, it happened like 3 times, you know. And the third time, you know, and I even got the number for the owner, you know. So like, I wrote to him, hey, he's here again, you know, he ran away, and he's like, oh my God, again, and so on and so forth. So actually, at some point, he like invited me in, and he gave me like beer and some. He's actually having. He's got some. Is it fallow deer? You know, yeah. He's got a huge property where he keeps fallow deer, and so he gave me some meat, some game meat, as a thank you, you know. And actually, it hasn't happened since. Oh, this is new. Interesting. Aha. Okay. This wasn't here for sure, and this wasn't here. It's to park the car. Okay. Yeah, right. Because people are usually parking there, I suppose. Wasn't pretty. I mean, look at the state of it. So they made this so that the people can park here and then walk through there. Because there's a lot of you know, tourist tracks here. So yeah, guess it makes sense. And hold on, I'm gonna show you something. And we're actually gonna go back, because this is a long sort of long walk, so we're gonna get through that forest probably over there back, and yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So here actually there's a nest. Now it's gonna be empty and abandoned because it's winter, so it's a good time to show you. But there's I'm thinking how to get down, but I guess through here. Oh yeah. So here there's usually a nest of a hold on, let me search for it. It's a nest of a gray wagtail, is it? In Czech it's called mountain wagtail, but I'm pretty sure it's gray wagtail for in English. And it's nesting usually right under that bridge. It's like a perfect spot for these. I'm coming, all right? So it's a great spotting, a great nesting spot for them, usually on these bridges that are right above the creek. Of course, this whole thing is very questionable because that's exactly the kind of thing that is completely unnatural. You see the bank being reinforced by these stones, and the whole thing is like the whole thing is, I mean, you know, I mean, look at it. I mean, it could be worse. Don't get me wrong. Like these stones here, which are pretty, I would say, they could have been a concrete, and that's how they usually do it in the cities. You know, they reinforce this whole thing. And hold on, let me get this piece of whatever that is. Birds are sounding an alarm, I guess because of us. And let me get this thing. I'm gonna throw it out. So hold on, let's go through this actually. Anyways, this is a perfect the whole thing is not perfect, but that bridge, like these little crevices behind, like below the bridge, are perfect for that gray wagtail. Sometimes it is also a nesting spot for a dipper as well. But anyways, this is not perfect at all. This is just not good, you know, this kind of reinforced bank, when they try to sort of direct the flow of water where they want it to go. And this is being done so that the bank is just like stable and, you know, defined and when there's more water, when it's like, you know, potentially flood season, you know, and potentially wow, I don't know how deep this goes, but yeah, it's fine. By the way, these, I might be wrong, but this looks like watercress. This one is really good in a salad, but there's a big but. It is I've read that especially when it's close to pastures and when you have like sheep and I don't know, animals grazing, it could have eggs of various different parasites like tapeworm, you know. So whenever I see this, I'm like, I would be great in a salad, and then I'm like, let's not, you know, because you can't, like, I mean, you could cook it, but I don't know what would kill the eggs, to be honest. But this is like one of the plants that I'm sure it's great, but I would not like to risk it, to be honest. So they try to reinforce it when there's a flood season, of course, or like there's more rain and there's more rainfall, there's a lot of water, so that the water doesn't change sort of its hold on, let me get out of through here, so it doesn't change its like direction, it doesn't change its path. Oh, there's a beautiful horse there, check it out. Wow, look at that, how it's shining in the sunlight. Whoa, that's beautiful. Anyway, let me get back to what I was saying. Here you can see it's already natural, you know, it's already fine. So they only made it for this little you know, part that goes out from the pond, which is, you know, it's okay, you know, it's not such a crime against, you know, the world, against the universe. So that's, you know, all right, and it's done with the stones and all that, so, you know, it's not that bad. Oh, look at that horse. Isn't it beautiful? I feel like this could be a painting. Dang. Hey, buddy. Hey, you beauty. Wow. Love it. That is beautiful. Well, let's continue. So yeah. Oh shoot, for a moment I was like, oh, do I have a battery? I was checking the camera if it still runs. So yeah, here it's not such a bad thing, you know. I mean, obviously it would be better if it would not be done at all, because clearly this spot here, this entire part here was probably wetlands, you know. It was like a marshy sort of very watery area, you know. And that's good, that's healthy, that's something you want in well, like humans don't want it, but animals love it, you know, and nature loves it. But fortunately, it just goes only there, and then it goes all natural through the valley until it reaches another pond, which is a bit lower down there. And they use the stones, you know, so let's forgive them this time. Yeah, but in the cities and in urban areas, this is usually done with, you know, with concrete, and it's like, it's very badly done sometimes. It doesn't even look good, and it's really bad and unhealthy for the environment, for the nature, and for all the animals that are tied to these habitats and to the riverbanks, and it's just bad. And I mean, I understand that the humans wanted to, or like that people wanted to keep the rivers in their place, you know, and they didn't want their homes to be flooded and so on and so forth. I mean, I get the point, but yeah, it's just really kind of blocking nature being nature, you know. It's like preventing nature from being nature, you know. That's the way it feels to me. So why is it bad is because, for instance, here there is, hold on, sometimes on this pond there is a beautiful kingfisher. We did not hear it this time. Maybe it's not here because it's pretty warm. It's usually there when it's very cold and lots of bodies of water are frozen. Then there is a scarcity of food for kingfishers, because they cannot get through the ice, of course, so they have to find spot which is not frozen to hunt for fish. And here I guess there is a part that doesn't freeze, so I often find him here in the winter, and in spring he's gone, you know. And one of the reasons why he's gone is because these banks that are reinforced with concrete and you know, stones and all that, and they're like artificial, is that those banks are brilliant nesting opportunities for species like kingfisher, because they burrow holes in those banks. They dug holes and they've dug burrows where they nest, you know, which is an interesting nesting behavior. Hold on, Drake he's got a bit of a PTSD because he got shocked multiple times. Don't worry, Drake, it's not on. What? Yeah, so he got shocked a couple of times. So he's scared of the wires. So they nest in those banks, and not just them. There are sand martins. Hope I'm saying it right. There are there are multiple different species, you know, that use that bank as their home, you know, and of course, and it's just natural, you know, that's the way it is. Of course the bank then erodes, and you know, it changes its shape and all that. That's what happens, you know. I mean, that's nature for you, you know. It's like nothing is permanent, everything's temporary, you know. And then obviously, you know, when you have a concrete and stony sort of bank and the lining of the whole thing, well then, you know, plants cannot grow there properly, you know. And like it goes way deeper than that, you know. There's a whole ecosystem, of course, that is dependent on you know, the natural form of the bank, you know, on the mud of the, like, from, they grow from the mud, you know. And yeah, it's just like, you know, sorry, I would like to tell you more, but like I'm not, I mean, sometimes I might sound like encyclopedia, but I'm not an encyclopedia actually. So I don't know everything, and I can't talk in depth about the, you know, the intricacies of river and stream ecosystems, you know, but it's just unnatural, you know, to make it this way. But sorry, I diverged and digressed so many times. It's classic me, you know. Like, it's so hard to talk about one thing when you're walking through nature and just not stop by and, you know, like, comment on something or just listen to something. So yeah, it's so hard not to digress when I talk about something. I mean, right now I want to digress, because hear that song? That, yeah. So that is a great tit, and also one of the first sounds in Europe, at least Central Europe, which you'll hear. It's actually out up there on the treetop. See it? One of the first songs that you'll hear, you know, and especially in the cities, because this is one of the species I talked about, blackbirds yesterday. They are one of the species that adapted incredibly well to city environments. So they're everywhere in the cities, great tits. So you're gonna hear them a lot on the streets and in the parks and so on and so forth. So yeah, that was a great tit, Pars Major. And sorry, let me just finish my story with the vigilante thing, you know. I'm not sure if my battery's gonna be running that long. Hopefully I'm gonna finish it, and then I'll sign off. But yeah, I'm kind of a vigilante in that regard, you know, because I've returned so many dogs, you know, called about so many escaped cows and horses and actually also I've returned a couple of toys, like dog toys. I've found a dog tag that I've returned, a cat tag that I've returned. You know, it's like a running list of things that I've, you know, done for other people. So and it's always tied to the animals, you know, it's always tied to either pets or, you know. So yeah, so it's yeah, it's an interesting thing. Nothing happened in a long time, you know. Like, I haven't rescued or returned any pet lately, so maybe soon. But yeah, that's how I got to that, actually, when I was thinking that I'm always closing the fence, the wire fence behind me, you know, that I'm not irresponsible. And then I realized, yeah, I mean, I'm the one who's like calling people that, oh, your cows actually escaped, you know. Oh, there's a lot of voices here. Oh, they're over there on the treetop. It's not very kind of weird call, to be honest. I mean, I recognize it, you know, but I would like to say it's a classic call. It's a classic song, but it's not really. Yeah. In any case, it is also one of the very early singers that starts to sing, sometimes even before spring. And see, this one's singing now, and that is Yellowhammer, which is, and I'm not gonna recall the name. Yeah, but it's a Yellowhammer I recalled, Emberiza citrinella. Yeah, that's the Latin, but it's definitely Yellowhammer in English, and it's in Latin Emberiza citrinella, and it's got this specific call. You know, it sounds a bit like the beginning of Beethoven's symphony. It's like kinda like, you know, but we're gonna hear them a lot, you know. This one is singing a little, I mean, he's improvising, I guess. I mean, he's just playing around, you know. It's not spring yet, so maybe he's like rehearsing. Oh yeah, he's rehearsing. He's like, you know, it's not spring yet, so let's get my vocal cords up and running. Let's get pumped up for spring, boys. You know, he's like kind of like that, I guess. So it's not a very specific song, or it's like not the typical song that they produce. So yeah, we're gonna definitely come across another there's a lot of wind. Gonna come across another Yellowhammer for sure, and one that will be calling and singing in a more standard manner, let's say. No, but they actually do have a different, but that's for another video, you know. They do have a different accents, actually regional accents, and I'm not kidding. They really have a specific songs. The song remains the same. It's like with English in different parts of the world. The core remains the same, but there's usually a different ending motive, and that changes throughout the regions, throughout countries even. So that's very interesting, but let's talk about that in another video once we come across another Yellowhammer. And there's I'm not sure if you can see it down on there, up over there. It's like a sort of alarm call, I would say, or just call in general of a great tit. And this one is a male. I can see that clearly because they have a really nice how do you call it? It's like a gender. Oh man, I'm gonna put something in the subtitles. In Czech, it's like gender dimorphism. You know, I'm not sure if it's the same in English, but the male is distinctively different from the female, and that's how you can, you know, distinguish them. So yeah. Oh. And we got a beautiful Mr. Thrush singing from probably pretty much the same spot as last time. Nice. So that's Mr. Thrush. So yeah, so for great tit, male and female, they look different. The male has a much wider black band that runs all the way from his throat to his belly and down to his tail, and it's much wider and much darker black, and so that's how you recognize a male. So yeah. And talking about animals actually reminded me one very, very sad story that happened with an escapee horse. But that's gonna be for another video, I suppose. Maybe tomorrow I'm gonna talk about it. But it's a very, very sad story, truly. But yeah, that was today's walk. That was today's walk. We got some whatever litter we picked up that we're gonna throw out. So that's nice. And we saw a lot of birds. I mean, actually heard and saw. I saw too. Yeah, saw and heard. Wow, look at him sing. Damn, beautiful. Yeah, with that beautiful song, I'm gonna sign off. All right.